We've lined up the top stars from Hollywood and from all over the world to entertain you on our giant screen with a few colorful motion pictures you've been hearing about and reading
It's
about.
showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
We're delighted to have you with us. They're driving theater.
You'll find something to please you to add to your evening's enjoyment.
Is pleased to bring you our feature presentation.
What's up, kids? It is Monday night. It is 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. We just had a Vince subscribe again on Twitch. Thank you for the sub. You are tuned into the Drive-In Speaker Box live. I'm your host, Bo, the Boom Operator.
I am Slick Doggy, the Grit.
And we've got another show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about movies like we always do. This is what we do here on the show. Thanks for joining us. If you are downloading or listening to the audio version of this podcast, wherever you get podcasts, wherever you download them and take them to go or stream or whatever it is you do, you can join us live. When we record this, you could be a part of this chat. You can sub, you can emote, you could just be a part of the community. And you can just do that over here on our Facebook, our Twitch, or our YouTube streams. We do this every week, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. Twitch is a lot of fun if you guys are on Twitch. It's the one that's the most interactive, so check it out. Shout-outs to McLean, already up in the YouTube chat. Vince over in the Twitch chat. I see some people already tuned in over on the Facebook, so thanks for joining us.
We also have that Discord if you want to talk to us outside of these times. Sometime we got to set up playing this pressure washing game with Vince too that he told us about.
Yeah, I downloaded it.
I did too.
The first level is very satisfying. The second level is incredibly stressful. Yeah, it is tough. But Tony, shout-outs over on YouTube. What up? Yes, Facebook is still a thing. A lot of people still tuning in over on Facebook. In fact, right now, most of the people watching this live stream right now are on Facebook, believe it or not. So anyway, there you go. We've got some movies. If you didn't catch the title here, we're going to be talking about two films that we saw. We caught Laal Singh Chaddha in theaters this week. Together, we were the only...
You guy.
We were the only two dudes watching this 3-hour Bollywood remake of Forrest Gump. We're going to be talking about that later in the program. And then I caught the new Netflix film Day Shift, which you may have seen a lot of trailers and stuff for. Jamie Foxx, Snoop Dogg. Remember when he was Snoop Lion?
Yeah, and then everyone hated it, so he goes, "Oh, it's just for this one reggae album."
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It always reminded me of like Food Lion, though. That you know, the grocery store that got in a lot of trouble in like the late '90s, early 2000s for, I think like there was like some hidden cam. But I was a kid. I don't remember, but I remember Food Lion being in trouble. And maybe one of the viewers out there can Google that and be like, "Oh, Food Lion was putting their pee-pees in the lettuce," and you know, whatever it is that places.
Why would that be the first thing that comes to your mind?
Man, well, fast food, you know, there's always something going on in the lettuce. It's just not good. Anyway, Vince asked, have you guys seen I Love My Dad? He caught it today. I've not seen that. That is on my list of things I want to check it out.
I think that was something we had talked about coming up on a previous show, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Have not had a chance to check that out, though. I mean, my time is getting shorter and shorter as we get closer and closer to October. So sitting around watching movies is getting more and more difficult. But I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it for you guys. I finished The Sandman on Netflix. I might touch on that a little bit later in the show as well. Give you my thoughts on that. But let's dive into the news because that's what we do at the beginning of the show. Any big headlines standing out to you there, Jake?
Big ones. Well, first, since we are reviewing a Bollywood movie, today is Indian Independence Day. And yesterday was Pakistan Independence Day. And the movie that we watched has characters from both of those places. So that's kind of fun. One thing that was in the news is, well, I guess a couple things. Like old news is now coming out as new news because it's now fresh, available information. And that is that the reason that Black Adam was not mentioned or brought up or appeared in Shazam as originally intended is because The Rock put the weight of The Rock on things and said, I don't think that Black Adam
Smell a secret.
should be in Shazam, because the original script had both of them having their origin stories, and The Rock was
in Shazam?
In Shazam, yeah.
No. I agree with The Rock. I'm taking The Rock on this.
It doesn't matter because they decided to do 2 origin stories in Shazam anyhow. They had Billy Batson by himself, solo Shazam, and then they had all of the kids becoming their own version of the hero. They didn't quite have all the kids where they combined into the one Shazam, but they still did the 2 different origins.
In movies these days, everyone's a winner.
But how about that? Yeah, The Rock is powerful enough to sway Warner Brothers and DC Comics.
Didn't we all know that already?
Yeah, and then Bryce Dallas Howard talked about how for Jurassic World 2 and 3, they did not want to give her hardly any money at all compared to her coworkers. But Chris Pratt to the rescue, and he made sure that she was able to get more dollar bills. So she said Chris Pratt is a pretty cool dude.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus.
They ignore the part where
he's
left his wife and children and cheated on her and did terrible things.
Does all kinds of Bible thumping and things like that.
Stuff like that. But other than that,
pretty cool dude, so they say.
He helped producer, actor, director Bryce Dallas Howard get more dollars on a crappy movie.
It's interesting how the finance of movies kind of shakes down, and the thing about getting paid on a movie set, it's a very delicate subject because it's always unfair. Everything is if you want to break down the pay structure of a movie, it's all unfair. It's not like, well, Bryce Dallas Howard didn't get as much money as Chris Pratt. And it's like, well, there's probably slave labor that was also on Jurassic World. How about we talk about that? And I'm sorry that Bryce Dallas Howard didn't get $70 billion. She only got $60 billion or whatever. Well, but, there are people on the PA team and the craft services team where they have like an AD that goes, budgets are kind of slow. You're going to have to work for only $200 a day this week. And they're like, oh, but please, sir, I know this movie's going to make billions. And they go, well, fuck off. And you want to work in movies, kid? You're going to have to lift these sandbags for no money. It's good experience. And then I don't have any sympathy when I hear actors and actresses and producers like arguing about who made more because...
Well, part of it's who's going to be the biggest draw, It's like if you're going to put Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise or someone like Chris Pratt in the movie or Schwarzenegger or something like that. Those are the people that are like,
well,
watch that movie.
A lot of it's negotiation, and people are going, well, I'm just not going to be in this movie if you don't pay me this much. And they go, well, shit, we have to have this person, and then they give in, or their agents are negotiating all these things, and I know I've negotiated on film sets for my rate. Sound is a very important department on films, and you're just like, they're constantly, films are always trying to squeeze every nickel out of you. If you don't ask for it, they're not going to give it to you. And I've been on movies where I'm just like, okay, look, this is my day rate. Anything less than this, I'm not doing this movie. You can find somebody else. And they're like, but don't you want to be a part of this film? And I'm like, not that bad. And they're like, okay, well, hang on, we'll get back. And then guess what? They get back to me, and I made my rate. And that's how this business works, and it's kind of a disgusting side of this business, but Dina says they had to sign for 3 films at the beginning, and he had just done Guardians.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You take someone who's in more leading roles that have attracted more eyeballs and things like that, and people know the name more so than like the girl that was Gwen Stacy in part of one movie, or whatever. It's like, yeah, people know Chris Pratt because people watched Parks and Rec, and then Guardians of the Galaxy and all that stuff. Yeah, so he has more
and it's
clout.
It's a lot like, in some of these deals, like when you're signing on to multi-picture deals, and then something, you don't go to eBay or a yard sale and you go, hey, Jake, I'm going to sell you this DVD copy of Pinocchio starring Pauly Shore for 99 cents. And then you go, okay, well, here's my 99 cents. And then all of a sudden, like, Pauly Shore wins a Nobel Prize or something. And that's all of a sudden worth like $1,000. And I go, no. I want my money. Give me this back. And you go, well, sorry, dude, that was the deal. And I feel like some of these deals in Hollywood, when like a movie starts to get really, really big and makes a lot of money, no one wants to share in the failure of like, well, this movie lost, this $70 million. Hey, Chris Pratt, can we have some of that money back? And he's like, eat a dick. And then, but if it makes $1 billion, they go, well, I need to get paid more. And it's, I see both sides of the argument, but also, I don't have a lot of sympathy for just people that are already millionaires. I'm sorry. I just don't. Like, I don't care your race, ethnicity, gender, whatever, if you're an alien, whatever. If you're a millionaire, shut up. or have a better contract or a better agent. Get them on the next one. Millionaire person, like, geez.
Well, talking about people to feel sorry for too, it was in the news that Sacheen Littlefeather got an apology from the Academy. She's a Native American woman who went on the 73 Oscars and accepted was to accept Brando's Oscar for him, but like declined it at his behest or something like that, and then gave a speech about how natives were treated in Hollywood and on film, and the audience full of all of these famous people that people were like, that's my guy, I know those people, booed her and hissed and ran her off stage and killed her career in Hollywood. But the Academy, I guess, getting ahead of the game before someone remembers about this kind of thing and points it out, like, hey, it's cool that you're starting to give more people of color nominations and awards and things. What about this, though? So they're getting ahead of it, and they're like, hey, guess what? Remember 50 years ago?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah, we're sorry about that.
The Academy Award remembers.
When you don't think about how the Academy's twisted and probably a little bit evil, I mean, that's kind of cool that they're actually
Twisted
doing
and
that.
evil.
Talking twisted and evil, too.
It's more crusty white person than man. Twisted and evil.
Yeah. The Academy for sure. But talking about that, October releases.
I've got another one. Hang on.
Uh-oh.
You want this, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's the Oscar.
Yeah.
Lightsaber. Come on. Star Wars. All right. Anyway.
Yeah, he had it.
He had it right here.
Yeah.
You want this, don't you?
Mm-hmm. But Del Toro's new Netflix release, Cabinet of Curiosities, got its trailer, and it will be coming out in October to be spooky things and weird stuff like he likes to do.
Spooky things are already starting to come
Monster
out.
things.
They're already, they're creeping in the shadows. And, we've got, spooky season, come on, let's be real. Spooky season is getting more and more acceptable to celebrate all year round. And I'm here for this as a firm believer of spooky season.
Spooky season.
I'm wearing my Nightmare on Block Street shirt. Check it out. Ta-da!
Shameless self-promotion
is coming soon, baby. Spooky season's here. Day Shift, a movie about vampires. There's another vampire movie coming out, not this weekend, but the next, The Invitation. That's coming out pretty soon. There was another Saw movie announced that's going to be coming out in 2023. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big Saw fan, but I'm here for spooky season. We gotta get you into the spooky season, boy.
Get me into the spooky season.
We gotta get you not so scared of things. We gotta get you brave.
I'm pretty brave, bro.
Not in the face of horror movies.
I watch horror movies. I watched
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. I'll watch Scooby-Doo meets Kiss.
Exactly.
I'll watch the Scooby-Doo, the hour-long episodes where they hang out with Phyllis Diller and the Globetrotters.
Vincent Price.
Is there a Vincent Price episode?
I thought the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, like Vincent Price was a character in that.
I've watched Edward Scissorhands talking about Vincent Price.
Oh, Vince. Hey, man, that is a good sub goal. Getting you, Jake, to watch Bone Tomahawk.
Is it super freaky deaky? Like,
It's got Kurt Russell in it.
it does have Kurt Russell with a big old mustache.
It's got Kurt Russell
Yeah.
in it. So, and Tony Todd.
I like Tony Todd. I've met him in person.
Yeah, dude.
He's a very nice man.
I think we should. Next week, I'm gonna have that Twitch sub goal put up there to get. Well, and it's just gonna be a reaction video. We're just gonna live stream. You can't see the movie because we don't want to get in trouble or whatever. But it's just gonna be Jake like in a chair, like going, dude, don't turn the lights off, man.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, there's no lights off. Yeah, it's not happening.
Oh man,
Is it creepy?
I'm not gonna tell you.
I feel like it's creepy.
It's a
I've
good
heard that
movie.
it's like gory creepy. I don't like gore movies.
Good,
You know
it's
that.
a good movie.
I'll watch like goofy horror, and I'll watch like body horror stuff. You know, I just don't like jump scare stuff.
It's true. All right. Yeah, Velvet Santa says, Jake, you should watch Audition. It's Japanese.
You know what? When I was a kid, actually, I used to watch horror all the time. And when I was really young, my mom would read horror stories to me to put me to bed. Like, that's what I was into. I had all of those scary stories to tell in the dark before they became a Del Toro Netflix thing. That's what I used to get at the book fair, and I was so stoked on them. I'd read the Goosebumps, and I would watch all of the creepy movies. That was like what I was into.
Maybe it's gonna be one of those things where when you revisit it, it becomes your favorite thing.
No,
after
I don't
being
think so.
Scared
No,
for so long.
I'm not scared. Actually, I used to watch a lot of Japanese horror movies before they started getting remade into
And getting scarier.
white people Hollywood films and all that stuff. You know.
Yeah, they're not as good now. But anyway, what else in the news? More Ezra Miller. You know, the guy, Ezra Miller, the trouble guy. He is just digging himself a big old hole, but they are still going forward with this Flash thing.
It's too big to not do it, man. You know, you can't.
They got it. They're just going to go for it.
There was a pretty good meme. It was like Marvel characters at the hospital. It had Tom Holland and Chris Evans just hanging out with kids, being awesome superheroes. It said DC, and it had a picture of Team Rocket from Pokemon, and they go, "Get ready for trouble, make it double," and it was Ezra Miller and Amber Heard.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
I mean, it's true. They are truly the rogues gallery, and I think that everybody's like, "Well, what are they gonna do? How are they gonna train?" It's like there's 100 Flashes. Haven't you watched the shitty CW show? There's like Kid Flash and Inverse Flash and Billy Flash and Donnie Flash and Ray Flash and like all these Flashes and.
What?
Yeah, dude, it's like a trailer park family full of Flashes, and every time he's like, "I miss my dad," and then he like goes back in time and he goes, "I also miss my mom," and then it's like a whole nother Flash, and then
What are you talking about?
Talk about Flash, and every day, like some Flash have like dumb wings on his helmet, and some Flash is like red, and some Flash
there's
is
no
yellow.
need to attack Jay Garrick. Jay Garrick is the coolest Flash.
I'm just saying. They don't have to stick to Ezra Miller. They could just be like, "Oh, the Speed Force is now a different Flash," and wheelchair Flash.
That's
We're
true.
Gonna,
What if they get rid of Barry Allen? They bring in Wally West. They make things right. They can do the right thing, and they can make an adult Wally West and cast Neil Patrick Harris.
I'm just saying it could be done, and it could be done easily. We could give Ezra Miller the boot real fast. But yeah, Dina said they were doing reshoots in between crime sprees. So yeah, on brand. But yeah.
What if
anyway.
it turns out Ezra Miller is Reverse Flash?
That would be a twist. I mean, in real life, he is the Reverse Flash. Yeah, anyway, Ezra Miller, always fun keeping up with what the hell he's doing. Universal Studios reported this week that they are the first studio to gross over $3 billion in a calendar year since 2019, since the return of the pandemic. And you would have thought it would have been Disney.
Thanks, Minions.
But yeah, it is Universal just crushing things because, Jurassic World was Universal, and then of course Minions is Universal, and they are just dude, they are just kicking butt right now. They're actually, and Black Phone, which did really well for them also, and Nope, also Universal. They're just boom, boom, boom. People forget that there are other studios out there that are not Disney, but they're re-releasing a 40th anniversary of E.T. I'm wondering if they're going to do the shotgun version or the walkie-talkie version. That is always a big contingency for me on which version I'm watching. But they are proving that theaters are still relevant post-pandemic. The magic of the theater is still important, and that you can still make money in a theatrical release, despite what all the naysayers say about streaming's the new world order.
Well, it's funny that you're saying that, because Universal is real big on all their Peacock nonsense. Oh, yeah. Which, the Continental, the John Wick prequel miniseries,
this I can't get behind,
has been moved from Stars to Peacock now.
Why do we need TV show connecting garbage? It's it's going to be bad. Like, the third John Wick was already a wet noodle. Like, the fourth one's just going to be even more John Wick. Just John Wick. That's what I'm gonna call this thing. And I like John. I loved the first movie. I was one of the people that saw it in the theaters when everybody's like, "I've never heard of this. Is this a book?" And then I'm like, "No, that was a really good action movie." And everyone's like, "I've never heard of it. Keanu Reeves, what?"
And I don't. Yeah, you somehow convinced me to watch it like right after it hit home video. Because I was like, no, dude, I heard the dog gets hurt in that. And you somehow convinced me to get past the part where the dog gets hurt. And it turns out it's really cool.
Yep. And then all of a sudden it becomes this culture. I did the same thing with Reservoir Dogs. You remember Reservoir Dogs? That was like a cult famous movie that got like dorm room famous. And the interesting thing about Reservoir Dogs is I was working in a video store at the time, and so was my buddy. We were working at competing video stores. He was working at Blockbuster. I was working at Hastings. And shout out to my Hastings crew out there. Anybody in the Hastings parking lot, what up? Anyway, Reservoir Dogs was a direct-to-DVD kind of experiment that it was exclusive to Blockbuster and only like Legionnaire. I don't know if you remember when they did that. It was like, we're going to release this on DVD in rental stores at the same time as theaters. But this was a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. No one gave a shit.
Whoa, what? Legionnaire is rad.
Well, no one thought so when it came out. And anyway, Reservoir Dogs was exclusive to Blockbuster, and every Blockbuster got 8 copies, so it wasn't like a big new release wall thing. And everyone's like, I've never heard of this. And What's Good guy came up and he's like, hey man, what's on this new release wall, man? What's good? And I'm like, Reservoir Dogs.
The Legionnaire.
What is it, British people, man? I don't know. Is that a guy from Monty Python? No, dude, I don't mess with that stuff, dude. Saturday Night Live or bust. And anyway, it turns out it became a cult classic like 10 years after the fact. And
it's funny you say SNL, because Velvet Santa says that every time we talk about Continental, they think of Christopher Walken, the one where the cameraman's wearing
so
the
good.
glove and he's like super creepy.
Hey, wait, you can't go yet. Let me pour you a drink, maybe. Yeah. Here, stop. Have this. Sit down.
He's just super creepy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Take your pants off. I do a terrible Christopher Walken.
I don't think it ever got that far.
No, it's very skeezy.
Yeah, it's super skeezy. But Dina also said that HBO is laying people off. Yeah, thanks Ezra Miller and Amber Heard. You are ruining other people's livelihoods by being terrible people. So stop, please. Don't do that.
Vince brought up something that we're going to talk about later in the show. We'll just go ahead and dive into this because it's kind of sad. He says we normally do RIPs, which this week, Anne Heche, well, let's just go ahead and go into this. At age 53, Anne Heche tragically dying. And this is kind of one of the weird, the things that I'm not quite sure how I want to report on this, because there are still stories unfolding. There are video clips. I don't know if you've watched any of the video. It's rough. They're talking about that there were drugs in her system. She was driving way too fast, crashing into this house, And but yeah, as Vince summed it up, it says her story was day 1, she's been in a bad accident. Day 2, bringing on felony charges because she was on drugs. And day 3, oops, she's off life support. And so now everybody's just kind of like, oh, what do we do? Do we celebrate this life? Do we talk about it? I mean, Anne Heche had done some really awesome projects, like and I think
6 Days and 7 Nights.
I love that movie.
Do you really?
I do.
It's Harrison Ford being Harrison Ford.
Yes.
With his earring.
Yes. It's so
and he crashes a plane, which is the most Harrison Ford thing to do. And then
yes.
And then he's grumpy about it.
Dude, like, how do you not like 6 Days, 7 Nights?
Because it's stupid.
No, and it had like Adam Schwimmer being like the biggest wiener simp like ever, which he's so good.
I haven't watched that movie since it was brand new.
It's
dude.
good. Like, okay, because hear me out. There is something I hate romantic comedies like just as a default, but
Except for Fool's Gold.
and 6 Days, 7 Nights, because there is something fun about like a tropical adventure a la like Romancing the Stone, because Romancing the Stone, a great romantic comedy.
Is it really a romantic comedy?
It's 100. They're married. There's romances in the title.
But it's an action movie.
No, it is a romance. It is a romantic action comedy, which 6 Days, 7 Nights also is.
Action adventure jungle movie.
Vince, you shut your mouth or shut your keyboard or whatever it is. He says, I literally.
That's what I'm saying. Not one person has ever.
Like that.
I imagine on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 1%.
I kind of like it. There's just
Bet you
something
do.
innocent and fun and escapey that doesn't have to have Matthew McConaughey in it. Like,
Oh, dude, but think about this. Matthew McConaughey's in Fool's Gold and Failure to Launch, and both of those movies are great.
and Sahara. Like,
Sahara's
yes,
not a romantic comedy, but Sahara's
close
badass.
enough. There's a love interest.
Who? Steve Zahn?
Hey, we're not going to talk about the sultry undertones of the relationship between McConaughey and Steve Zahn in Sahara.
Sahara's a badass movie.
I'm not going to say 6 Days, 7 Nights is a badass movie. It's a good movie. And never quote Rotten Tomatoes to me, by the way, because Rotten Tomatoes is an absolute awful
it's
way.
junk. We both know, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
Never tell me the odds, kid, because Rotten Tomatoes, like we got people in the chat, people on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb, those aggregate scores. Most of those people have never even watched the movie. They piggyback on stuff. It's terrible reviews written by terrible humans that don't know anything about movies. They go, hey man, my friend said that this was dumb and I ain't even gonna watch it, so 1 star, dude. Or, they'll go to a theater and the air conditioning wasn't on. They'll go see like Chariots of Fire and the air conditioner was off, and they go, man, 1 star, dude. It was hot in this theater, dude.
hold on. Got an 89% on AOL Movie Board.
That's what I'm talking about.
So the people that use AOL are like, well, this is a good movie. Throw me another disc. My subscription's running out.
You got truth.
Yeah.
And
right.
see, and over time these shift. Like, that's why we don't give scores on the drive-in speaker boxes, because this is reviewing films and discussing films is an ever evolving subjective process. When you just quantify something to a rating system, you can't do that.
Vince had to use the Wayback Machine to find that AOL score. That's a very quick. You did that very quickly, hopping on Wayback and finding that information, like what date it came out and where it was posted.
And Vince says 51 at Metacritic. 51's a good score on Metacritic. I'm just saying. If you want to go take aggregate scores of good movies on Metacritic, or financially successful movies, or movies that dinglings like, he said it was a joke about the Metacritic.
Yeah, I saw that.
Damn. Well,
I thought he was just internet super sleuth.
Maybe. Well, it's a 51 in my Metacritic. So there you go. Dina says it's basically a remake of African Queen, which is a great movie, so give it a fair shake. There you go. See, Dina's on board. It's fun escapism, and especially when I actually watched about 5 months ago. I've revisited this movie.
You just pull it off your shelf and
like,
no, I was gonna make the dust joke, but it's not. You just watch it so
dusty.
often. All the rest of them are dusty, but it's the one that's not, because it's just like your 6-month routine. It's coming up. Time to watch it again.
There's it's like The Beach, but with a romance. There's like bad guys with guns. I'm pretty sure like a Danny Trejo is in this movie for like 2 seconds. He's just like a guy with a gun, which he is in most movies. But there's bad guys, there's planes crashing, there's stranded desert islands, there's like all that fun stuff, and then you got Harrison Ford with an earring being a crotchety curmudgeon that's like, getting ladies.
No acting required, just Harrison Ford things.
When does he ever have to act?
That's true. I mean, he just shows up, and everyone's like, nailed it.
World's sexiest man.
Yeah, Harrison, can we get another take on that? And he's already walking away. Yeah.
Oh, the Metacritic was real. Okay, correction. Thank you, Vince. Metacritic was real. Boom. There we go. Anyway, Anne Heche is dead. So there we go.
What a way to end that.
End of that segment there. She's been in a lot of cool stuff. It's always tragic when someone, we don't know what was in her life and troubling her to put her into that situation. So, fame and stardom and celebrity is a very dangerous thing. I think people don't give enough credit where credit is due to all the pressure that celebrities have to deal with in their day-to-day lives. It's easy to make jokes, and that's what we do here. But at the end of the day, it is a sad thing. So there's our heartwarming disclaimer that hey,
pour one out for the up and comers.
Pour one out for those up and comers. Who's going to be the new Anne Heche? I don't know. What does Ellen say about this? We got to get Jaw on the phone.
I was about to say, what does Jaw say?
Anyway, what else going on in the news? Do you have anything else? I'm going through my stuff, and
there's been a lot of One Piece Red spoilers making it online, and I keep looking up where to find and watch One Piece Red, and it's not in the places that it says it is. So if any of you know where to watch One Piece Red in English subtitles,
I'll let your boy
know
in the Discord.
But it's like it's like the second biggest anime release in Japan ever, behind that Mugen Train.
Oh, yeah. Demon Slayer. Well, there you go. Velvet Santa reminding us in the chat that there is a Dragon Ball Fathom event coming soon. I'm pretty sure that's this week.
It is. I was going to talk about it when we got to the what's coming out this week
Well, let's
section.
jump into it because it's time.
Well, then we'll just hit that up. Dragon Ball Superhero is finally being released in the United States this week on the 19th. I'm so stoked. Gohan finally gets to be front and center again. Why are we fusion?
I mean, because that's the only DBZ thing
we're turning to the fat one. If you don't do it like perfect and match your key, either get like real scrawny or like the big fat version.
Well, what's wrong with that? We shouldn't fat shame DBZs. It's 2022.
Super Heavy Gotenks was really powerful.
Gotenks?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds
That's
cool.
the fusion version
the fat one
of Goten and Trunks.
I'm
Go
down.
Tanks.
Go Tanks. Also coming out this week, not much. The only large release that's really hitting theaters this week is we got double weeks of Idris Elba coming out. But this week's Idris Elba is Beast, which I'm so tired of seeing the trailer for this. It is Idris Elba, Charlotte Copley, Ayanna Holly. It looked like, when I first saw this, I thought it was going to be like a remake of Ghost in the Darkness, like that Val Kilmer movie about the killer lion. But then it's just like, any movie that starts with like a happy family on a vacation, like in the Sahara, is not going to, it's not going to be like, it's all fun and games. And then, there's like a lion, but then also poachers, and then Idris Elba punches a lion, I guess. And that's always in the trailer, which kind of pulls me out of it, because like, you don't punch a lion. A lion leaping, a punch does not land.
Well, each trailer shows more and more of the fight between the two, and you get to see some damage that the lion takes beforehand, and clearly he gets like stabbed and slashed at.
Like a bullfight.
Yeah.
But the tagline for this film is, a father and his two teenage daughters find themselves hunted by a massive rogue lion, intent on proving that the savannah has but one apex predator. So there you have that. But then also throw in poachers. I was hoping that maybe like, Idris Elba and the lion would like have a couple rounds of fisticuffs and be like, oh, geez, but then these poachers are after kind of both of them, and then they look at each other and be like, you know what, these poachers, though, and then they team up, and he, like, lures the lion to, like, kill the poachers.
Are you saying that the lion's like, hurroof, hurroof?
Yeah, I wish.
Come on, put him on.
He gets some courage.
Like that? Is that
yes,
what you're saying?
I certainly hope so.
Is this what happens when the cowardly lion gets too much courage?
Yeah, he's just like a raging beast that fist fights Idris Elba. But yeah, I don't know. This movie just looks very generic. I mean, we didn't get Fall here, did we? We talked about it. Got a release date last week, but I don't.
Yeah.
Did we?
I don't know. I was so stoked that we got Laal Singh Chaddha. So.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, we got Bodies, 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 and Laal Singh Chaddha, and I don't think. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, I forgot that movie happened. But anyway, Beast coming out this weekend. That's about it. The other stuff you're probably not going to get. Very, very small release stuff. So I'm not even going to waste our time with it because we have 2 films to talk about with you tonight. Do you want me to start with...
Yeah, do yours.
Okay, I will start with that one. I saw Day Shift. And Day Shift, of course, the new film with Jamie Foxx, directed by J.J. Perry. It is starring Jamie Foxx and Dave Franco. Most people are like, oh, yeah, it's Jamie Foxx and Snoop Dogg because, trailers. And Snoop Dogg sells movies, which this movie understood that they were like, we're going to put Snoop Dogg in this for a cumulative 8 minutes, 9 minutes, and everybody's going to want to see the Snoop Dogg Vampire Killer movie. And it's funny for what that is. This movie, definitely a love letter to vampire slaying films. There is a, direct Lost Boys reference at the end of this movie. They drive by an old abandoned video or movie theater, and I paused to see what was on the marquee because you can always see, little secret messages, and Lost Boys was one of the secret messages. But it kind of feels a lot like John Carpenter's like vampires and other vampire killing things of that ilk. My issue with this movie is, like most movies that are coming out these days, they just go straight forward into the action. They don't, what makes a lot of really good action horror and horror thrillers, well, and just horror in general, is some build-up. You look at these classic movies like, let's take Lost Boys, or the one that got remade, Fright Night, which is another great vampire slaying film.
I'll watch horror movies like Fright Night.
Yeah, Fright Night's great.
Yeah.
Both of them are actually really good. The remake is good. Anton Yelchin carried that movie. Colin Farrell, also a fantastic choice for that movie. I think it's good. Blow me.
Just saying, the first one is really good. Why would you...
They're both good. They're both good. Anyway, this movie is trying to borrow from from that playbook, except for it falls into the problem of wanting to be too much of an action film. And much like, what was that movie, Daylight or whatever, that Will Smith was in, where he's fighting like ghosts and goblins or whatever, or was it? Oh, Bright. No, it was Bright. This feels very much like that, like Netflix going, man, we have to have a lot of over-the-top, wild, choreographed scenes of vampire killing, which some of those were really great, where they're using contortionists to do, like, inhuman vampire moves, but it's really a contortionist doing the stuff in these fight scenes, which is actually kind of fun to watch. And Jamie Foxx is always fun to watch. He's just got a great on-screen presence. I could have done with a lot less of the Dave Franco character. I mean, okay, for those of you listening to the podcast, every time I say something like that, Jay goes and like makes this face.
Jamie Foxx can be.
He can be Shanae, but he can also be Academy Award winning, Ray, winning Academy Awards, or being Shanae from In Living Color. Like, that's what I like about Jamie Foxx, is he will take whatever if he's having a good time. I respect actors like that will take varied roles. But Dave Franco's character, the joke got a little old. It was the nerdy tag along from the home office of vampire killers, and he pees his pants and gets real scared, and spoiler alert, he becomes a vampire at the end of the movie, which is not a huge spoiler if you've ever seen any movie of this ilk. There's like the friend that becomes a vampire, and you're like, oh no, but then he's like nice vampire for a little while, and how it goes. It's pretty cut and paste. Velvet Santa says, was it like Night Shift? Which Night Shift? I'm trying to think of this movie. I'll have to see if the memory banks jar before I can confirm or deny that reference. But I will say, for the most part, there's Peter Stormare has a cameo. I love Peter Stormare. But the movie was fun. It was a fun action vampire killing movie. The Russian Night. Yes, and no, it was not like that. This is way more tongue-in-cheek and goofy. This is essentially a comedy with some dramatic violence. Like, the violent parts were the only serious parts about this movie. But all that said, I did not enjoy it. I thought it was a good way to spend an hour and 45 minutes watching very interesting ways to kill vampires. Velvet Santa says, like, R.I.P.D., that was a pile of trash. No, that was...
tried to watch that movie more than one time, and I've never been able to get through it.
It was like Ghostbusters meets Men in Black, but all crap. Like, it was terrible. This film, I thought, was acceptable. It followed every buddy cop formula, every vampire killing formula. This movie wasn't trying to do anything new. I think this movie was a love letter to the genre, and in that respect, it succeeded. But I'm probably not going to watch it again. It's not going to be on my Rolodex of like, ooh, I want to watch a movie about vampires getting killed. The plot was really thin. The big bad, you couldn't really figure out what they wanted, what the driving goal was, and Jamie Foxx trying to get his family, trying to support his family, just a working man slaying vampires, trying to paycheck to paycheck, cashing in those fangs, just trying to make ends meet, and that's what this movie was about. And at the end of the day, it's a movie to watch. I'm gonna go very middle of the road. If you like this genre, you'll be entertained by it. If you're not into vampires, if you're not into kind of action comedies, don't bother with this one. But if you are and you want something spooky, check it out. I don't think you'll be too disappointed. So there you go. Day Shift. It's on Netflix right now. It's only at number 10, whatever that means for Netflix in terms of how they monetize your viewing. But they do just by sending laser beams into your eyes or something like that. I don't know, scary stuff. But yeah, that movie's out there on Netflix. Sandman also out on Netflix, which I thought wrapped up, stuck the landing. There was some issues I had with some parts of Sandman, and I felt like they left it in good hands, and a season 2 on the way, which should be better than season 1 because it focused. The second part of the graphic novels focused more on the other Endless, his siblings. I'm looking forward to that. Sandman's a good watch. It's a good introduction to Sandman. I think the audiobooks are better. There you go. That's my Netflix.
Well, and someone earlier had said they were happy that Sandman stayed away from its DC crossover.
So am I. I think trying to have Dr. Destiny in there would have been too much. Trying to have Scarecrow in there would have been too much.
They did do Lucifer in the way that the Constantine movie did, like no, I'm getting it wrong. They did Lucifer the way that Constantine did the Angel. Lucifer was Peter Stormare
Peter Stormare in the
in Constantine.
Yeah, in the film.
Because he takes the bullets out and makes him live. He removes the cancer and all.
And he has those like goopy feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Peter Stormare.
I forgot.
He's so cool.
But
he's another actor that'll take anything.
Was it Tilda Swinton was the angel?
In this movie?
No, in Constantine. No, she looks the way that Lucifer was done in the. Yeah. All right, never mind. I thought I had something with the DC comics because they're both whatever. They're both Vertigo. No, Sandman. Well, Sandman was Wildstorm, Vertigo when it was comics.
I don't know, but it's under the DC umbrella now.
Yeah. Well, Vertigo and Wildstorm are always DC. It don't matter.
But anyway, well, let's move on to the second film that we watched. This one is called Laal Singh Chaddha. A lot of people talking about this film because it is essentially a remake of Forrest Gump. This is a
Straight up remake.
Yes, adapted by a guy named Atul Kulkarni. This film starring Amir Khan, like this guy taking on this role, which his performance was very Jackie Chan meets Mr. Bean for me, which at the beginning of the film I thought was a little much, but yeah, you say words.
It is a 65% or more shot for shot identical remake of Forrest Gump, to the point where they wear similar costumes. They have it is Forrest Gump. If you just took Forrest Gump, pasted it on top of like Indian culture and let that kind of shine its way through, to make little changes here and there, it's exactly that. They replace the chocolates with Golgappa, and they replace Vietnam with the Kargil conflict, and so there's different things that they do to make it work, and the whole time, instead of sitting on a park bench waiting for the bus to show up, he's telling the story to everyone on the train. Making his way to wherever, Bombay or Delhi or whichever it was.
He's making his way to Ginny, just like
in
the movie.
To the Ginny character Rupa, and I mean, I don't. It's hard to explain Forrest Gump when everyone's seen Forrest Gump. I mean, but they do a really good job of adjusting the movie to a different culture and making it still work.
Timeline.
Yeah, because it goes from early
80s
84 to 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I thought that was the most impressive part about this movie. I've read some other reviews of people that are, from that part of the world, and that are a little more divided about how, this movie kind of tiptoed and just made it a lot more wholesome than it could have been, which, the original Forrest Gump showed a lot more of the underbelly of the American timeline. But I mean, all that aside, I'm not as familiar with the India's timeline, and so I went back and did some Google searching while in and around watching this movie to see how the timelines actually lined up to kind of emulate the Forrest Gump story, and I thought that was kind of impressive. Where this guy, this just through happenstance, like goes through some major like life events and time events, and kind of comes out on top with a warm heart, and
yeah. Well, I think a part of it though is that they made his character a Sikh, and he lived through times where there was persecution and violence against them, assassinations of the prime ministers, and then a war with Pakistan and things like that, and it was religious persecution and things like that I personally didn't know about because I've never read too much about modern Indian history. But when they got into the conflicts, all that everyone's criticism is it didn't get into the darker parts of it enough. It did, but it chose to look at the happier. Yeah. It stayed with Laal Singh Chaddha's character on the more innocent side of it instead of viewing it that way, and it was trying to show people are all the same regardless of religion, and that's like the Lieutenant Dan character,
who was on the other side.
Muhammad Paji. He was from Pakistan, and he was kind of like a Taliban type character.
And Laal saved him on the battlefield.
Yeah, he went and rescued him the same way that
the Bubba equivalent,
that Lieutenant Dan was rescued, and it helps to explain why that character was so mad at him. Because they took Lieutenant Dan's story of all of his ancestors dying on the battlefield and made that
applied it to
Laal's character.
Laal.
And
Forrest.
so that's why he would join the military, because instead of just
getting drafted,
ended up in it, it had to give a reason why this innocent person that saw the good side of life and had nothing but care in him, would join military and be sent off to war, and it was because it was expected of him because that's what his family had done for generations and generations.
So yeah, they kind of weaved it into an interesting little tapestry, and and the one takeaway from this is in any iteration, form, or fashion, Jenny sucks.
That's true.
And Jenny is just a straight bitch and like unlikable. Like you just want to be, why, Forrest? Why? Why are you so hung up on this girl? But that's how it goes. And it's Velvet Santa says one trope I've noticed in Indian films is the evil rich guy. Well, there was evil rich guys in Forrest Gump as well. It's I think that's just a trope everywhere.
In this one for Jenny, instead of make me a bird so I can fly far, far away from here. Her just trying to get away from everything and escape.
Make me rich.
Escape reality. That's what she wanted. Money is because she essentially witnessed her father beat her mother to death over $1.
Yeah.
10 rupees, which is insane. And so she's like, I wish I could be rich. And that was her whole thing, is she wished she could be rich. And instead of like a bird flying, it was like
a jet. See a plane.
Yeah, and and that was like
plane.
the symbolism of being like a jet setter or whatever. And the whole thing was she wanted to be rich, and she did whatever she could to get it. So tweaks like that to make it more modern and things like that too actually really work in it. The way they did it really work. Now, some of your favorite scenes probably aren't going to be in it.
Like him stepping in poop and wiping his face and making the smiley face shirt.
Yeah, he doesn't make the shit happens bumper
showing
sticker.
His butt to the
He offers to show it to one person though,
Yeah.
but he doesn't like show his butt to the president or tell.
Have to pee because he drank too much mango lassi. I made a joke. It's like, I had 17 mango lassis.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was. Obviously, like some of those things probably aren't going to translate. But there was jokes that were special to this character, and
he still had the breaking up the Black Panther party
type
thing.
Yeah, sorry about your
Bollywood producer party.
Yeah. Went straight beat the living shit out of that dude.
The only thing I didn't like that it didn't have was when he gave his speech at the Washington Memorial, and they yanked all the stuff out. Like, that part wasn't there. I wanted to see how they handled that, where the dude in the American flag is like, you said it all, man. And like no one got to hear anything he said. Yeah.
But this movie was cute. It was warm. It was 3 hours long.
It didn't feel like 3 hours.
And here's probably the highest praise you'll get from me for something like this. Bollywood movies are long and exhausting for me. This didn't feel like 3 hours, and we didn't even get a full intermission. Like, I know that
it said intermission, and both of us started to get up to go pee,
and it was just like, nope,
because we were like, Forrest, I gotta pee.
Yeah, because I probably drank about 13 Coke Zeros.
Yeah,
it was a long movie, but then they just jumped right into it, and by the end, it did not feel that long, and I think that they did a good enough job translating this where it didn't feel as stupid as I thought it was going to be. Like, looking at this, I was going into this theater going, oh my gosh, this is going to be like Turkish Star Wars. And no, it wasn't. This movie actually had some heart, and it made me want to try Golgappa, but just not share with anyone because everybody gets like wet spice water all over their hands and like. And it's like dripping everywhere, and that was kind of triggering for me, watching all that just sloppy hand juice drip into that.
Well, and they have that in the scene where he's just dripping it, and he reaches to shake a hand, and
she's like, no. But life. His mama always said, life is like a box of Golgappa. Your tummy is full, but your heart craves more.
Yeah. Vince asked about a specific scene. That one's not in the movie. They took out the more of the racy things and stuff like that too.
It was very, very wholesome.
It works, but that's because this movie takes place, in more modern times rather than ending there. Like, this movie begins where Forrest Gump ends
basically.
Yeah, in like that same time frame. So, they definitely try and keep it with the times instead of it being Summer of Love.
There was
type
no
stuff.
Hey. That was not there.
Yeah,
we were waiting for it. We thought it was going to be there, but it was not. But anyway, yeah, there you go.
Oh, and Velvet Santa given high praise there too, saying it's pants worthy.
Yeah, well, yeah, which is rare praise for old Velvet Santa over on Twitch.
And one thing that I really liked is in this, instead of him teaching Elvis how to dance like Forrest did,
Oh, this was actually a really good scene.
he was dancing with his cousin who was hanging out with all these guys, and they were making fun of him except for one person, Shah Rukh Khan. And he's like, show me that move. And then he like copies the move that Laal is doing. And then it just
Shah Rukh
hits,
Khan move.
Yeah, and then it hits the montage of Shah Rukh Khan movies. And it was like,
And just doing the move. Yeah. That was pretty cool how they were able to tie that in together. But
some of the CG in this is real awful, by the way. But some of the like the de-aging on Shah Rukh Khan, them putting him into like the Indian government and getting his awards and things like that, they looked pretty good. But then like when he was running away, it was like your tip was just like cheap. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's not bad. It's if you enjoy Forrest Gump, you'll enjoy this movie.
Or if you've never watched Forrest Gump,
You'll still enjoy this movie.
Yeah. Or if you don't like Forrest Gump because you're heartless and something's wrong with you because it's really like the best movie that's ever been made ever because it makes you feel all the feels. Dude, Forrest Gump is so good.
It's okay.
It's so good. Dude, it has Gary Sinise and it has Sally Field and
It does have all those people. Yeah.
Tom Hanks. Super good movie. Anyhow, watch this. Maybe you'll like it better than Forrest Gump because they do change enough of it that it's different, but there's a lot of it there that's exactly the same, including like a 1 hour intro with the feather.
Yeah, that feather goes hard. Like that feather gets around a lot more than the American feather does. But and no dancing numbers, which I was surprised. They did have some song numbers, but none of the characters were singing. So to a lot of Bollywood films, there's usually song and dance numbers, but not in this one. So.
Velvet Santa said we're gonna get Forrest Gump multiverse movie.
Well, we've already got one.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's going to be a crossover.
And Vince points out a fun little Easter egg cookie tidbit about Forrest Gump, which is that Kurt Russell did the voice of Elvis in that scene, uncredited. It's not credited, and that's because he did that movie where he was the Elvis impersonator.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Laal Singh Chaddha playing in some theaters near you. Maybe it actually in 516 theaters in the country, so you might actually have it somewhere near you. But yeah, let's go ahead and shift over in our last few minutes to the box office roundup. It's the last segment of the show where we tell you what's going on in the top 10 in theaters in America, domestic totals only, because that's how we measure sequels and green lights. Nope did just get an international opening this week and everybody's excited about it, but it's not doing very good. It's only made $6.4 million in the international market this week. So that's kind of why we focus only on the domestic market, because that's what the money guys look at here in the studio. So I'm gonna turn it over to Jake. We're gonna start with number 10 and let's do it.
Hold on, I actually want to go down on just a little bit because there's
all
a couple
the
of
new
fun
movies?
things. Yeah, so actually E.T. was re-released and it opened at number 14. So who would have known? It's only in 389 theaters.
It averaged more per theater than the number 2 movie in America.
Well, how about that? And then the movie we just reviewed, Laal Singh Chaddha, came out at number 12 in the U.S. in only 516 theaters.
And it was averaged higher than that one. So if the average per theater was stretched out to how many theaters the number 2 movie was in, it'd be the number 2 movie.
And you pointed out earlier we were the only 2 people in theater. We did go to the last show on Sunday that would be ending late in the evening. But if you'll bring it back down so I can see number 10.
Oh,
boom,
yeah,
up.
sorry. Yes.
All right. So opening at number 10, Fall. Not a good place to open. Only in 1,500 theaters. Yeah, so no wonder it's something that not everyone's going to get to see. It brought in $2.5 million in its first week. We'll see where it goes from there. My guess is that it will continue to fall down the list there. Number 9, maintaining its number 9 spot in its 8th week of release. Elvis bringing in $2.5 million. So funny that we're talking about Elvis in Forrest Gump
still
and
in the top 10.
Number 8, Bodies, in its official 2nd week of release, but I think this is its first wide release.
Yeah, it was only
week.
in like 8 theaters last week.
It brought in $3.25 million.
It's a new one from A24. I wanted to see that this week. I might try and or last week. I might try and catch it this week.
Yeah, it's also only in about 1,300 theaters, so
Still pretty limited.
yeah, not bad for it, with considering how little it's out there.
Pete Davidson, man.
Yep.
People like to see him.
Number 7 in its 5th week of release, maintaining its number 7 spot, Where the Crawdads Sing, which I had someone today tell me they watched it over the weekend and that they actually really liked it. Thought it was a good movie.
I have to bookmark it.
Brought in $4 million, bringing its total up to $72 million. How about that? And then number 6, dropping down 1 spot in its 7th week of release. One of the longest on all these we're talking about, Minions, Rise of Gru, brought another $5 million. So its domestic total is $343 million at the box office. No wonder Universal is standing tall, sitting on top.
Making no money.
And another reason, just to add to their coffers here, at the number 5 spot in its 4th week of release, Nope, with a little over 5 million, 5.36 million, bringing its total to 107. So just helping boost that Universal stock there, just defeating Disney. But Disney is sneaking in here at number 4, holding its number 4 spot in its 6th week of release. Thor: Love and Thunder, bringing in just barely more money than Nope at 5.377, with its domestic total at 325, which is 20 million shy of what Minions has brought in. So just going back, that's no wonder Universal is sitting on top, because Marvel's big moneymaker
is under Minions.
It's under Minions. Yeah. And then number 3, the rival of Marvel, coming in, staying up there in its 3rd week of release, DC League of Super Pets, starring Black Adam himself. $7 million at the box office this weekend, bringing its domestic total to 58 over that 3-week period. So, not terrible, but probably not what they were hoping for.
It's doing its thing.
I think Minions being out there is still hurting them, and now kids.
I mean, the fact that it got dropped from over 550 theaters this last week, only in its 3rd week, is not a good sign for this movie.
But kids are going back to school, and it's one of those things where people are getting them ready for school, getting their bedtime set again, and now they're going to be back in school, so it's hard to go make a kids movie.
But
work.
what's weird is the number 2 movie got put in 421 new theaters
because they added new stuff to it. Coming in number 2, jumping up from the 6th spot, returning Maverick, just kicking ass, brought in $7 million. Yeah, just like in the movie, they dip in and then they just pull up real hard, so they just fly in, they drop that bomb, and then they come flying back up. Kick ass. Maverick had in its 12th week of release, $673 million in the U.S. alone. That movie is super rad, dude. I'm stoked that it's doing so well. Honestly, I think it's super cool, because you were like, oh, Top Gun's going to be a disappointment because you just really want it so bad, and it wasn't, and it's good, and it's kicking ass.
I did not expect it to make this kind of money. I am dumbfounded, quite honestly.
It's awesome, man. It's badass.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Tom Cruise killing it. And then number 1, maintaining its number 1 spot in its 2nd week of release, movie that we reviewed, last week?
Yep.
Yeah. Bullet Train brought in another $13.4 million, bringing its domestic total right now up to $54.5 million.
Not too bad, Bullet Train. If you want to check out our review for that, you can watch our replay, download last week's episode, or you can watch the stream. I believe YouTube and Twitch. Twitch will hold our last 2 week streams, but YouTube keeps a pretty good archive of all of our live videos, so you can check those out there. So yeah, there you go. There's your top 10, and that's it, man. I think we've wrapped it up. We're done. We're gonna go see. I'm gonna go see Bodies, maybe. And yeah, we'll be back next week like we always are, talking about movies, doing the thing, telling you what's coming out. So don't forget to like and subscribe and share the show. Tell your friends. Join our Discord. It's over there. Vince is like, you got to keep watching. You got to watch Severance. And I know I've got to. I just don't have the thing to connect my computer. I just got to do it. I got to bridge the technology. Because I don't like watching things on small screens. Like I refuse to watch any media on my cell phone or a tablet or a laptop. I will not do it. I have to be sitting in front of a calibrated correctly, no motion blur, no smooth filtering television set with proper audio. But I've got it. I will watch it. I promise.
Some tablets aren't bad at watching.
Nope. They have shit audio. And I'm not gonna wear headphones.
Dude, I'll let you check out my tablet sometime, dog.
Does it have a subwoofer?
Audio.
A detached subwoofer?
No, it has 4 speakers.
They're like this big, dude.
I could hook up a sub.
Okay, hook up a sub to your tablet, and then we'll talk.
Or well, actually, all I have to do is when I'm at home, I can connect it to my surround sound because it's all Samsung.
Well, it's
just effortless.
I need a calibrated television.
But if I'm at home, I have a way better, bigger 4K plus TV. So
yeah, I've got an 80-inch with stereo surround subwoofer. Like, let's do this thing, and it's calibrated correctly. If I come over to somebody's house and I see that motion blur and
it makes me sick. Yeah,
God, I'm just like, hey, I think your neighbor needed something. Go over there and check it out. And then I'm like, and fixing their settings because.
There's so many times where people will be watching it with motion blur. I'm like, can I fix this? And like, yeah.
They're like, what's
why
wrong?
do you need to? And then you do it, and you're like, do you see how much better it is? And they'll go, well, what did you change? Yeah, and it's like, how do you not see that?
Ugh. Vince says, in this house we disable motion blur. Yes, you should. And it makes movies that are not filmed in high definition look like garbage, and it makes movies that are filmed in definition look like garbage.
Well, and the whole point of it is for watching sports on television.
Yeah,
movies are better.
And yes, agreed. Anyway, that's it. That's our show. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back next week, Monday night, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time, as we always are. And as always, I am your host, Bo, the Boom Operator.
I'm Slick Doggy the Grip.
And we will see you guys next week.
As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.